Welcome back to FE's Architecture, the channel where we explore iconic architectural projects and unique designs from around the world, and also share some of our own creations. Today, we're diving into a very special project designed by myself as the lead architect and developed by our firm, FZ Architecture, located right in the heart of Miami's Coconut Grove, a lush, tropical neighborhood that's full of character, history, and natural beauty. This house was inspired by the tropical climate, the movement of light and shadow, and how architecture can blend into nature while protecting its inhabitants from the challenges of its environment. Being on a corner lot and located in a flood zone, this home was designed vertically over 3 levels, with an elevated access floor and an intimate connection to water, vegetation, and filtered light, like a walk through a tropical forest. Miami architecture has always had a unique style, bright, open, and deeply influenced by both its climate and cultural diversity. In this house, we wanted to reflect that spirit, but also reinterpret it in a more contemporary, luxury-oriented way. The corner plot presented both a challenge and an opportunity. Instead of exposing the house fully to the street, we created an entrance sequence that gradually hides the main volume, pulling you inward into a shaded, almost cave-like threshold, similar to stepping into a tropical park, where sunlight only filters in through the trees. As you arrive, the walls feature small openings, enough to hint at what's inside, but also maintaining privacy. You can hear and see the movement of water trickling down from the upper-level pool, creating a soft cascade that falls through the ceiling, letting light pass through in thin rays. This creates an immersive entrance experience that feels natural, fresh, and calm. As you approach the house, the perception of the main volume begins to fade. Instead of confronting the full structure right away, you're gradually drawn into a shaded area, like a hidden garden or a tropical cave, where light filters through carefully placed openings in the walls. You start to feel the presence of water. A soft cascade coming from the upper-level pool trickles down into the entry space, allowing natural light to penetrate through the ceiling in delicate rays. It's a sensory transition, like walking beneath the canopy of a dense forest. This entry leads to the core of the house, where the main staircase rises through all 3 levels. But before going up, you pass through an interior patio that functions as a thermal buffer and spatial filter between the street and the living areas. The patio is filled with natural soil, dense vegetation, and open skylights. It brings in fresh air and natural light, creating a microclimate of shade, breeze, and dappled sunlight. It feels protected from the street, yet remains completely open to the sky. By slightly raising the perimeter terrain and carefully positioning the vegetation, we managed to block direct views from the outside, ensuring total privacy, while still keeping the space open and connected to nature. It's a peaceful, secluded heart of the home. Once inside, you're greeted by a sculptural 3-story staircase made of exposed metal and floating treads. But this isn't just a functional element. The stair becomes a spatial experience in itself. The design plays with rhythm and asymmetry. The flights don't align in a traditional way. Instead, they seem to grow upward, almost organically, like tropical vines or hanging roots stretching from the ceiling. As you ascend, the light grows stronger, and the architecture gradually reveals itself. At the top of the first flight, you arrive at the main living floor, the heart of the home. And here, the experience changes completely. After moving through shadows and protected volumes, the space suddenly opens to a bright, luminous terrace with a pool and a full-height glass facade that connects interior and exterior in one fluid gesture. This level includes the formal living room, a space designed for hosting, receiving guests, and enjoying open 360-degree views towards the street, the terrace, and the surrounding tropical landscape. The light here is everywhere, but it's always filtered and controlled. This is not just a room. It's a platform for enjoying the best views the house can offer. From here, you can look out to the terrace, the pool, the trees beyond, and even catch glimpses of the street, all while feeling protected and enclosed. The materials are intentionally neutral and elegant, allowing natural light to bounce and shift throughout the day, giving the space a dynamic, almost cinematic quality. The furniture layout is minimal but deliberate, designed to encourage conversation and flow. Architecturally, this room works as a hinge between public and private life. It connects visually to the entrance and the exterior, but it's slightly elevated and buffered by the stairwell and the patio behind, creating a sense of quiet distinction. It's a space for hosting, but also contemplation. For me, the formal living room is a reinterpretation of the classic Miami openness, but with more control, framing views, filtering light, and creating a calm, luxurious atmosphere. On the more private side of the plan, a door leads to the family room, a more intimate space that includes a kitchen and a casual seating area. This room opens up directly to the outdoor terrace, yet maintains full privacy from neighbors and the street, thanks to the strategic placement of volumes and landscaping. The geometry of the house was carefully adapted to the limitations of the lot, especially its irregular shape and limited outdoor space. By turning the back of the house toward the neighboring property, we maximized visual privacy while expanding the usable outdoor areas. By turning the back of the house toward the neighboring property, we maximized visual privacy while expanding the usable outdoor areas. The upper level of the house is entirely dedicated to rest and privacy. Here we find 3 ensuite bedrooms, each with its own bathroom, natural light, and carefully framed views. The layout ensures that every room feels independent and serene. The corridor that connects the bedrooms is quiet, filled with soft light from skylights and indirect openings. It's not just a circulation space, it's a transition from the social to the intimate. But the true highlight of this floor is the master bedroom, located at the most privileged corner of the house. Elevated above the rest of the structure, it sits like a retreat in the treetops, with unobstructed views towards downtown Miami and the surrounding canopy of century-old trees. The design of the suite combines openness and privacy, an intimate space that remains deeply connected to nature. The ceiling in the master suite is higher than in the rest of the house, giving the space a sense of calm and dignity. Large floor-to-ceiling windows bring in the morning light and frame the changing colors of the sky at sunset. The master suite was designed to balance openness and seclusion, offering a personal sanctuary at the top of the house. Elevated above the surrounding rooms, it enjoys the most privileged views, opening towards the treetops and the distant skyline of downtown Miami. Beyond the master suite, the upper floor includes 3 additional bedrooms, each designed with the same attention to light, comfort, and privacy. These rooms are not just repetitions. They each respond to their specific orientation and surroundings. One faces the garden canopy, another is oriented to receive the morning sun, and the third opens to a more shaded, tranquil view. This gives each space a distinct character. At the very top of the house, the experience culminates in a private rooftop terrace, a space designed not just for leisure, but as a place to contemplate the city and the landscape. The rooftop is directly accessible from inside the house, continuing the vertical journey that begins at the shaded entrance and rises through light, space, and elevation. From up here, You're surrounded by the lush canopy of Coconut Grove, thick, green, and alive. And beyond that, the skyline of downtown Miami stretches out on the horizon, with distant glimpses of the ocean shimmering in the background. To understand the concept behind this house, it's important to start from the ground, literally. This project wasn't just placed on a site, it was sculpted into it. What you're seeing here is the terraforming process, a step-by-step strategy to adapt the architecture to the terrain, the city regulations, and the natural risks, like flooding, which is critical in this part of Miami. We begin with the existing lot, flat and exposed. The first step was to respond to FEMA regulations, which required elevating the habitable spaces above flood level. That already creates a design condition. The house cannot sit directly on the ground. From there, we defined the maximum footprint allowed by code and then extruded it to find the maximum buildable volume. But this volume wasn't yet in harmony with the landscape or the street. So we introduced a layered approach, cutting into the terrain to create multiple levels of landscaping, pockets of green, and natural buffers. These spaces soften the mass of the building and bring light, ventilation, and vegetation deep into the structure. So we introduced a layered approach, cutting into the terrain to create multiple levels of landscaping, pockets of green, and natural buffers. These spaces soften the mass of the building and bring light, ventilation, and vegetation deep into the structure. The key moment comes in step 5, where we began the terraforming, a gradual carving and lifting of volumes to generate a dynamic form that respects the code envelope but enhances the spatial quality. The final result is a home that feels elevated yet grounded, private yet open, and always in dialogue with the lush, tropical landscape of Coconut Grove. This house is not just a response to a site, it's the result of a deep interpretation of place, regulation, and nature. By working with the FEMA elevation requirements and the urban code, we didn't fight the restrictions, we embraced them. We used them as design tools to shape both the landscape and the architecture. The result is a house that grows from the ground like a part of the landscape, open, private, elevated, and connected. A home where indoor and outdoor spaces merge naturally, where tropical light filters through patios and shaded voids, and where the architecture becomes part of the terrain. Through this process, we created a new way of living in Coconut Grove, a vertical, layered experience that brings privacy, freshness, and beauty to a complex urban lot. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of our latest projects. If you enjoyed this deep dive into design, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is FC Architecture, where design meets nature, and every project tells a story.